Scientist. Yeah, Twice has found a spot in our playlist. We've been doing them a lot within the last couple of months. They're really good. See what they got.
Yeah. 왜 자꾸 날 연구해 아인슈타인도 아니고 왜 그렇게 각을 재 사인 코사인도 아니고 밀고 당기는 게 내 스타일은 또 아니고 알아보다 말 거면 눈에 펄펄 지나 맛 좀 줘봐 넌 생각이 많아 문제야 문제 머릿속만 들여다보면 뭐해
I like the theme so far where she's stating that she doesn't want this push and pull relationship and he's an overthinker. So like putting all this thought into the relationship, she says like doing him no good because I guess it makes him indecisive and it sounds like he has issues with commitment because of it.
Yeah, I love that they use math as like the context, right? Like everything that they're talking about had some sort of math reference, and then in the back, formula of love, kind of implying that like it's not that hard.
Yeah.
And that's why she says things like, "You think too much" or "You think too hard."
Yeah, which makes sense as like I can see the math representation in a relationship, right? Because you're taking like two people, which can be like two components or two variables. And depending on how those variables mix or intertwine, like you can get like a net negative result or a net positive result. Like two people can make a really good relationship. And it could be like, they don't have to be like two bad people. We can take two people that are just like very different and aren't very compatible and put them together in the relationship. It's just no good because it doesn't work, I guess, because of the differences in personality.
문제야 문제 머릿속만 들여다보면 뭐해 각자 시간에 땀낼 시간에 Better make a move Love ain't a science don't need no license 말 이상 내고 고민할수 minus Don't try to be a genius So why so serious 맘이 가는 대로 눈을 시킨 대로 What you waiting for 그래 뭘 안 했어 그동안 나에 대해 다음 과목은 뭐야 So what's the next class day 백날 연구해봤자 이런 식이면 failure 불단위로 바뀌어드는 내 맘은 more from 내걸 넌 생각이 많아 문제야 문제 머릿속만 들여다보면 뭐해 각질 시간에
Wow, this is they made a song. I feel like they made this song for people that are over analytical and just people that tend to overthink. Because I feel like the message of this song is just a kind of experiment. Don't overthink. Like she says, like don't measure the angles. Like you don't have to put so much thought into something. Sometimes you just have to go with it and see what happens without having to have all the answers before you even enter the relationship.
Yeah, that specific like scene where she's just adding stuff together.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something that you would hear in like a 2000s rom-com. Like I could picture this in like a Legally Blonde type video.
Mm-hmm.
Better make a move Love ain't no science don't need no license 머릿속 메고 고민할수 minus Don't try to be a genius Why so serious 맘이 가는 대로 맘이 시킨 대로 What you waiting for You got a crush on me You gotta fall for me 사랑 같아서 이 눈이 무슨 소용 있어 useless 이런 바다 몰라 설레였던 걸 너 왜 몰라 난서 하나 빠진 것처럼 사랑하자 딱 하나만 나는 바보 된 것처럼 Love ain't no science need no license 연구해봐 me 빨리 충분히 You know about me Love ain't no science need no license 말했잖아 what you waiting for Love ain't no science need no license 더 이상 내고 고민할 수 minus Don't try to be a genius Why so serious 맘이 가는 대로 맘이 시킨 대로 what you waiting for You ain't the same You ain't the type You ain't the same Better move watch you wait
It makes me think about I can't help but to think about the culture difference, and I wonder if that's why their culture influences this song in any way, right? Because I think about when I think about love being a science, I think about some cultures actually cultivate, I wouldn't say a formula, but they have their traditions where it's a formula that makes it work, right? Like in some cultures, marriages are regarded as highly desirable, right? In a lot of cultures, where I feel like here marriage is no longer the norm, I
Right.
would say. Like maybe for some it's
agree.
still norm, but for the overwhelming majority, it's not uncommon to not be married anymore in comparison to like a decade or two ago. So I wonder if their culture is still like marriage dominant, right? Like, you know how some cultures, like they influence you to get married at a certain age, have a kid, have a family, and that's like their cultural values, which is fine. But they also have a formula with how they do it. Like they want you to marry a specific type of person or a specific type of guy for the sake of like being financially stable, or just that person maybe being a good fit for you because they'll cater to you, right? So I think I would assume that their culture plays a part as to how they think about love.
Yeah, I would also say their generation is also impacted by like their experience of love. Because I don't know if they mentioned something about how you already know me. And it makes me think about how that's so common today where, you know, people are on dating apps, people are kind of already linked on social media. So they kind of have an idea of like who this person is. There's no aspect of, you know, that mystery behind getting to know someone as you would maybe like 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, before the internet, you know, like blew up the way it did.
I think that's a great point, right? Because now you have these dating apps, and it's almost as if you have a stat sheet on the potential prospect, right? So like you can, if you're using something like Facebook or Tinder or any numerous website, you have an idea of what that person may be just from their about page. Obviously, there's a lot they don't cover, but you have a general idea of who they could be or who they are based on what they say, and obviously, it's going to favor what they say is going to favor them highly, right? They're not going to put any of the bad stuff about
Right,
them.
like a resume. Like, why would you put something bad about yourself on a resume? Same with an app.
Exactly. But it's still more. It's still more of a stat sheet in comparison to like back in the day when you're just meeting someone in person, like like nothing. Right? It's just a blank slate from that point on. But in social media, it definitely changes the game in terms of the information you have on that person, and that the little bit of information you have can make an impact on your decision whether you want to move forward or if you want to date them or not. Right? This aspect of just literally just swiping left or right, yay or nay, real quick. You wouldn't do that in real life like 20 years ago because you don't have like the hundreds of options that you now have on your phone to just go through all these prospects.
Yeah, and it's sad because like now I really feel like it's become so shallow where it's merely about how the person looks and if you're physically attracted to them, where in real life confidence plays a huge part in whether someone has a chance to talk to you or not.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, it's definitely the age of the introverts, I think, at least in our culture. I think other cultures are still have their differences, but definitely in our culture, I've seen a massive shift in introverts and being more prone to not having to just go up to people and getting to know them in that way. And I guess it can seem more intimidating when compared to just being on the phone, you know. So I can understand it.
Better move, watch you waiting, watch you waiting.
I love how they made it like a presentation.
Yeah, seriously, it's like a keynote speech.
Yeah, it really makes you think about that shift that just happened just in a matter of like 5 years. I think it was like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean it'll date back a little longer than that if you include like MySpace, which obviously wasn't as relevant as what social media is today, right? But if you went back and you think MySpace and Facebook, yeah, this has been at least like a decade, right? I would say. But the last 5 years definitely with the emergence of like Tinder, Bumble, and Grinder, and all these other sites. What?
Yeah, like I remember like the originals were like Match.com, eHarmony, and it was rare for people to kind of meet online. It was almost like, ooh.
You're a weirdo, right?
Or like, why are you like
Yeah,
doing that?
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
mostly
yeah.
for like older people, I feel like like eMatch,
I would agree with that.
eHarmony. I think it's Match.com.
Match.com.
They were like targeted for like older people, right?
Yeah, I mean, you were I remember perceiving people as weirdos initially. Like, well, you meet people online. Like, what's wrong with you? You can't
Like,
meet people in
I
person.
wouldn't say it was weird. I would say like you should be careful. Like there are people that are weird online. That's how I perceived it.
Yeah, I mean, it was unconventional, right? Because, like, I don't know, at least for me, the way I perceived it during that time when it was just coming out was like, why can't you just meet a person in real life? Like, why? Like, what can you possibly say to answer that? You know? Like, and of course, you have people that just, they separate their personal life from their work life, or they don't want to get involved with classmates. Like,
Or like they were trying to do something mad sus.
Yeah, it's easier to do the sus shit when it's like someone that you don't know. Maybe you just date someone from like a different city. It can be someone in your class, and you want to do like the S&M shit, right? Because then if it doesn't work out, all of a sudden everyone in your class knows you want to be tied up.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's a good point.
And then that's it.